Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Let us start the session with a nice quote. What is today's quote? Learn by doing. Theory is nice, but nothing replaces actual experience. Learn something by doing. Theory is always nice. You need the theory, but nothing replaces actual experience. Experience is the best teacher. There's another saying, a very useful quote. Now let us see what is there to learn from today's session, enrichment for proficiency in English. There are 10 words, more than 10 words in fact, today's editorial, and these 10 words you're going to have the exercise, undermine, to weaken something, spawn. It has got two different meanings. One meaning, to grow quickly. Another meaning, it's a biology term, to lay eggs. It goes with fish, frogs, all these. Clamor, noisy protest or confused noise. Alienate means isolate. Rumble, it means a resonant, continuous resonant sound. Repudiate means refuse. Syntax, it has got two different meanings. One meaning, it means a structure. Another meaning, it goes with English language, the sentence pattern or the way the words are arranged to form a sentence. Succor, help or relief. Facade, you got to be careful with this particular word. The pronunciation of this word, facade, it has got two different meanings. False appearance, one meaning. Another meaning, the front part of a building. If you take any building, the front part looks quite attractive. That is known as the facade of a building. Profess, claim to have something, claim to be something, but not true. Now you're going to learn 5 idioms. Any port in a storm, an important one. And fifth wheel, not that important. Still, it is better if you learn. Flight of fancy, again goes with everyday English. Itchy feet, everyday English. Jump on the bandwagon. This is an important one. And 5 phrasal verbs, fall behind, fall for, fall through, fall back, fall apart. I'm not going to give the meanings because you have to take the exercise, do the exercise rather. Besides these, you're going to work on spot the errors, and today also no phrase replacement. You're going to work on the parajumble, close test, and reading comprehension related questions. This is the enrichment you're going to have today from this session. Let us go to the headline. A lot of information, so only one headline on this page, on this slide. And next slide, one more headline. How does it go? Resettlement colonies at risk of becoming COVID-19 clusters. You all know the word clusters, and there's nothing to learn from this. Resettlement colonies at risk of becoming COVID-19 clusters. Cramped living spaces, cramped, that's an important word. Cramped living spaces, lax lockdown enforcement, raise concerns. Cramped living spaces, lax lockdown enforcement, raise concerns. There are 2 words here. One is cramped, uncomfortably small or restricted. Cramped for space. And lax, not sufficiently strict, severe or careful. Not strict, not severe, not careful. And what are the examples? We have 6 desks in this room. So we are a little cramped for space. That is understood. We have 6 desks in this room. So we are a little cramped. The committee contends that the authorities were lax in investigating most of the cases. They were lax. Authorities were lax in investigating. Means not very strict. Coming to the second headline, forced to adopt new habits. You got to be careful with the word adopt. There is another word, and these two, they come under confusing words. Adopt, adapt. Adapt means what? To get used to something or someone or a particular culture. Adopt, it has got many meanings. One of the meanings, to take someone's child and make yours legally. Adopt, also it means to accept. Forced to adopt new habits. The pandemic has jolted us out of our inertia. There are 2 words you have to learn. One is jolted, the other one inertia. Jolt, it's a verb, it's also a noun. Push or shake someone abruptly and roughly. You got the word abruptly yesterday. Means what? Suddenly. Push or shake someone abruptly or roughly. Inertia, noun, a tendency to do nothing. And there's a typical combination, political inertia. Means some people are not interested in politics, then we use the word political inertia. What are the examples here? A surge in the crowd behind him jolted him forwards. A surge, already have got the word surge. Surge means what? Sudden forward movement. And a surge in the crowd behind him jolted him forwards. Another example with the second word, inertia. The bureaucratic inertia is not acceptable. The bureaucratic inertia, not being active, not being proactive, that is not acceptable. Be careful with the word bureaucratic, and when you see the word bureaucratic, you have to recollect the idiomatic expression red tapeism. Red tapeism means what? You can also say red tape. It means bureaucratic hurdles. Now let us go to the editorial page. What are the 4 articles? First one, local motive on Modi's call for self-reliance. We are going to spend time on this. Liquidity lifeline, a plan to revive a broken economy. Already we have got the word revive. Provide income support, restore jobs. And this we are going to spend time. This is an important article you have to read. And you have to read this. This is very important. You may get this as a passage or related topic. A plan to revive a broken economy. In future, everyone is going to talk about revival of the economy. Not only our country, across the world. And this is also an important one. Today, if you look at the present scenario, there are 2 things which are very important. One, lives of people. The other one, livelihoods. The second one is going to take the center stage. And in future, people are going to talk about livelihoods. Provide income support, restore jobs. This will be of paramount importance. So if you have enough time, my suggestion, please go through these articles. They are very useful. Now let us go to the actual editorial. What is this editorial about? Local motive. Motive, here it could mean something like goal. Local motive means the idea of promoting the local goods and the local services. More than the services, the local goods. And on Modi's call for self-reliance, this is an important expression. In the past, we talked about self-reliance, but today it has taken a back seat. Now it has come to the limelight. On Modi's call for self-reliance, this article is all about that. PM Modi's call for national self-reliance might be undermined if it turns overly ambitious. It's a good idea. Self-reliance is always a good idea. We should not depend on others. We should not import goods. We have to promote goods made in our country. At the same time, over-ambitious could be negative. It could make a negative impact. That's what the sentence talks about. PM's Modi call for national self-reliance might be undermined if it turns overly ambitious. It may be weakened. Undermine means to weaken something or to make something less effective. In which condition does it get weakened? If it turns this idea, this goal, this motive, if it turns overly ambitious. It is good to be ambitious, but it is not good to be overly ambitious. There is a saying in English, what is it? Too good is too bad. Too good is too bad. You don't want to depend on others. You want to isolate yourself. You want to get alienated. That is not a good thing. To the extent possible, we have to go in for self-reliance. At the same time, wherever we cannot, our core competency, something is not our core competency, we should not waste our time on that. We have to depend on others. That is an ideal approach. Let us have a look at this editorial and see what is there to learn. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's emphasis on Tuesday on a renewed drive for a self-reliant India is not merely a reaction to the new global realities spawned by the COVID-19 pandemic. This is not something new. It talks about that. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's emphasis on Tuesday. Emphasis on what? On a renewed drive. A renewed drive. It was there in the past. Now renewed drive for a self-reliant India is not merely a reaction to the new global realities spawned by the COVID-19 pandemic. There is one word here. Actually, it goes with biology. It goes with animals. Spawn means to lay eggs in large quantities. Here it means resulted in, spread by, promoted by the COVID-19, the global realities spawned by the COVID-19 pandemic. It is a throwback There's one word here, throwback, reversion. It is a throwback to the nationalist economic policies that India and other newly independent nations followed in the last century before the high tide of globalization swept over. In the past, when was it? Perhaps 80s, before 80s. Everyone was talking about the same thing, not only India, other countries also, about self-reliance. That was in the buzz, that was in the limelight. That was the buzzword. Here, it is a throwback to the nationalist economic policies that India and other newly independent nations followed in the last century before the high tide, usually high tide, low tide, that goes with seas and oceans, high tide of globalization swept over. Initially, they were talking about Swadeshi and products locally made, dependence on indigenous companies, an important word you have to recollect, indigenous companies. But later what happened? Globalization came into the picture and it swept over all these indigenous companies, and the concept of self-reliance, that has taken a backseat. Now it has again come into the limelight. His statement also foretells a potential renewal of the Swadeshi economic policies that continue to inspire Hindutva politics long after centrist nationalists have abandoned them. There are two words here. First, I'll tell the meanings of those two words. After that, we'll see what exactly the sentence talks about. Centrist means a person with moderate political ideas, not extreme political ideas, moderate political ideas. And abandon, this you have got many a time. It goes with everyday English as well as effective English. What is the meaning of the word abandon? Abandon means to leave someone, to desert someone, or to leave something. It also means to give up a particular activity. Abandon an activity, abandon someone. And usually it goes in passive voice. He was abandoned or it was abandoned. Now let us have a look at the sentence. His statement also foretells, it talks about the future, foretells a potential renewal of the Swadeshi economic policies that continue to inspire Hindutva politics long after centrist nationalists have abandoned them. In the past, these centrist nationalists, they spoke about Swadeshi economic policies, they spoke about self-reliance, but now they have abandoned them. They are going to come into the limelight for the second time. After independence, India opened itself to the global market. So when did this globalization came into picture? Editorial talks about that. India opened itself to the global market in 1991 through its liberalization, privatization, globalization policies, but remained cautious as it skirted around the whirlwind of international capital in the following decades. There's one word here, skirted. We all know the word skirt as a noun, but here it has been used as a verb. Skirted means to go around the edge, to go around something, not going deep into something, to go along the edges. Here it talks about, but remain cautious, careful, as it skirted around the whirlwind of international capital in the following decades. Whirlwind, whirlpool, whirlwind. When water goes round and round, we call it whirlpool. When wind goes round and round, we call it whirlwind. Something that takes place on a large scale, and people get surprised or they are taken aback. In that context, we use the word whirlwind. India always remained cautious. That's what it talks about. This hesitant, when you're cautious, you try to hesitate. This hesitancy or hesitate, what does it mean? To take your own time to do something, not to be hasty. This hesitant approach of India often led to a clamour. Clamour has got many meanings, but here it is like a protest, noisy protest, confused noise, loud noise, from various vocal quarters for faster and deeper opening of its economy. But its relative insularity from disruptive global headwinds turned out to be helpful several times in the last 3 decades. Though there was a demand to open up for globalization, something stopped. Disruptive. Disruptive means what? Not to. Disrupt means interrupt. Usually it goes with services. Disruption of services means what? Interruption of services. Here, this hesitant approach of India often led to a clamour from various vocal quarters for faster and deeper opening of its economy, but its relative insularity, insular to protect oneself, to isolate oneself from disruptive global headwinds, disruptive to interrupt, and there's one word here, headwinds. Exact meaning of that. If the winds go in the opposite direction, then we use the word headwinds, turned out to be helpful. This is important grammar point of view. There's one phrasal verb, turn out. Something proves to be good at a later stage, turn out to be helpful several times in the last 3 decades. When Mr. Modi took over as Prime Minister, there was a renewed cry from global corporations and foreign governments for bolder reforms. There was a demand for globalization, more from the international community. If anything, he traveled the opposite course. Mr. Modi did not go in that direction, did not go in the direction of globalization. He went in the opposite direction. If anything, he traveled the opposite course. That means he went in the opposite direction, raising fresh trade barriers and seeking to strengthen India's manufacturing base through the Make in India initiative. He took one initiative, Make in India initiative. This goes against globalization. This is pro-India. It is based on self-reliance concept, Make in India initiative. In doing so, he has been true to his ideological calling and also to his mandates of 2014 and 2019, election mandates, which were not sought or won for expanding globalization. He did not win elections based on the concept of globalization or promising to promote globalization, but based on the initiative taken by him. What is that initiative? Make in India initiative, more on self-reliance. Mr. Modi's politics impact. Here, the word politics has been used, though it looks plural, it is considered singular. That way it is important. Mr. Modi's politics, in fact, rides on the mobilization of people dispossessed and alienated by the rumbling march of globalization by providing them new targets to vent their anger on. A lot of people got affected because of globalization. To be very specific, in fact, globalization, if you take indigenous companies, a lot of indigenous companies, indigenous industries, they got wiped out overnight because of this concept called globalization. And definitely they must have been very angry. Here it talks about Mr. Modi's politics, in fact, rides on the mobilization of people dispossessed and alienated, isolated by the rumbling march of globalization by providing them new targets to vent their anger on. Vent here means to express their anger on. The pandemic brought to the fore, this is important from grammar point of view, the pandemic brought to the fore at once the limits and inevitability of globalization. It talks about the limits as well as inevitability of globalization. Countries such as the US that relied on others for the supply of essential medicines and medical equipment were suddenly vulnerable. Were suddenly vulnerable, that is in the past. Are suddenly vulnerable, present, were past. Already we have got the word vulnerable many a time. What is the meaning of that? Vulnerable means likely to get exploited, likely to get affected, and endangered in a weak position, in a weak situation. China's unmatched leverage in global supply chains. There's one important word, leverage, to use something to the maximum extent. This is an important word you have to remember. China's unmatched leverage in global supply chains and concerns that it may weaponize trade have prompted a renewed global discussion on the components of national security and how to protect them. Globalization, again, in a way, it is not a good thing. If you look at globalization from different perspectives, one of the dimensions one has to focus on national security. At the same time, this pandemic continues to illustrate means to show, demonstrate. At the same time, this pandemic continues to illustrate how inseparably shared is the future of humanity. The future of humanity is shared across national boundaries. Mr. Modi understands this dynamics of global politics and has sought to advance India's interest within an emerging framework. A new framework is emerging, and he wants to do something within the emerging framework. He did not repudiate, this is an important word, refuse, to deny. He did not repudiate globalization, but proposed a new syntax for it, a new structure for it, a human-centric one, human-centric, based on the individuals as opposed to the current profit-motivated model, according to him. Globalization is more into profit, the idea behind globalization, the bottom line, profit-motivated model. But Mr. Modi has proposed human-centric model. He placed India at its center. Again, one more dimension, he placed India at its center. This is largely rhetorical. Rhetorical, the word, rhetoric goes with politicians. On the stage, in public meetings, many politicians, they say certain things repeatedly to influence the masses, to influence the crowds, to influence the people. We use that, the right word for that is rhetoric. This is largely rhetorical and might be unmindful of India's limitations, to the extent that such politics brings succor to the disadvantaged. Succor means relief or help. To the disadvantaged, it is to be welcomed. We have to appreciate that, we have to welcome that. But the editorial says we have to be a little cautious, we should not be over-ambitious. If this is only a facade for majoritarianism or authoritarianism, facade means the front part of a building, another false appearance for majoritarianism or authoritarianism, it will bring more harm to the same people that this approach professes to protect, claims to protect. Instead of protecting, it may harm the same people. His supporters and opponents alike, there's one important expression, his supporters and opponents alike would be eager to see how this philosophy translates into policy. His supporters, both his supporters and opponents alike, would be eager to see, they will wait and see, they will watch how this philosophy translates into policy, how it becomes a reality. An interesting article at this juncture, it's all about self-reliance and Swadeshi economic policies. They were in the limelight in the past for some time because of globalization, they were forgotten. Now they have come back into the limelight. Now let us see what is there to learn from vocabulary point of view. Undermine, an important word, weaken. Spawn, it goes with biology, but grow suddenly in this context. Important. Throwback, it goes with everyday English. Reversion, important, you have to remember. Centrist, a political term, moderate political views. A person with moderate political views. Abandoned, easy word, goes with everyday English as well as effective English. Deserted, or to leave someone. Skirted, as a verb, go around the edge, move around the edge, not going inside, deep into globalization in this context. Clamor, confused noise. Headwinds, winds blowing in the opposite direction, something that went against globalization. Alienated, we have got already. Isolated, rumbling, continuous resonant sound, or the impact of something, impact of globalization. Vent, to express. Leverage, an important word, used to maximum advantage. Repudiate, again an important word, refuse to accept. Syntax, it has got 2 or 3 meanings. Usually the word syntax goes with languages, linguistics, but here, systematic statement of rules or something that is very systematic. And more words, rhetorical, speech or writing that is effective and persuasive. Usually it goes with politicians. Rhetoric, rhetorical. Succor, an important word. Help or relief. Facade, careful with pronunciation. Facade. Facade means what? False appearance. In this context, this is the meaning. But the typical meaning of the word facade, the front part of a building. Professes, profess, claim. Claim to have something or to be something, but in reality, or it is not true. That's what it means. Don't stop with claims. Claims to have something, claim or claims. Claim to have something, claim to possess something, but that is not true. What is the word of the day? Abandon. Abandon is a regular verb. Cease to support or look after someone, one meaning. Another meaning, desert. To leave a place, thing or person, usually forever. You leave a place, a thing or a person, usually forever. We use the word abandon. Now, what are the word forms? Abandon, verb, it's a regular verb. Abandoned child, adjective, abandoned. Abandoning is not a good thing. Abandoning a particular activity is not a good thing. It is a noun. What are the word combinations? Abandon someone, abandon something. To be abandoned, we always use it quite often. We use it in passive voice. To be abandoned. I was abandoned, he was abandoned. That is in passive voice. Synonyms, these are idiomatic expressions. Turn one's back on. Remember, this is very important. To turn one's back on someone. Leave high and dry. Leave high and dry. That also means abandon. Turn one's back on someone, it means abandon. These two are very important from the exam point of view. What are the antonyms? Stick by, continue, keep. Example, as a baby, he was abandoned by his mother. As a baby, he was abandoned by his mother. Now, common error. I have posted, this is important from the exam point of view. I have posted the letter yesterday. The sentence is wrong. Why is it wrong? There are two parts here. One is, One is I have posted. The other one is yesterday. I have posted the letter that is in present perfect tense. Yesterday, time in past. We cannot use present perfect with time in past, independent time in past. That is a wrong combination. Either it has to be, I posted the letter yesterday, then it is correct, or without the time, I have posted the letter. But never say, I have posted the letter yesterday. That is a wrong combination. That is a common error, and exam point of view, it is important. What is there to learn? Today's editorial language point of view, I haven't seen quite useful or interesting patterns, regular patterns. Might be undermined. Might is a helping verb. It talks about possibility, but chances are less. Might be undermined. It is in passive voice. It might undermine something. Something might be undermined by it. If it turns overly ambitious, here actually they're supposed to use the word would or will, because the if clause, it is in present tense. If the if clause is in present tense, we have to use future tense in the main clause. But English has rules, English has exceptions. Here it talks about a possibility. Will, it talks about future. This also talks about future, but it talks about possibility. So in place of will, might be undermined. Nothing wrong with that. If it turns overly ambitious, this is in present tense, if clause. And this goes with conditional sentences. This pattern goes with conditional sentences, and it goes more with open conditional. Open conditional. His statement also foretells. His statement also foretells. This is in present tense, easy to understand, active voice. Turned out to be helpful. Proved to be helpful. Remember this phrasal verb, an important one, turn out, proved to be helpful. When Mr. Modi took over as Prime Minister, there was a renewed cry for Swadeshi economic policies or self-reliance. Here, took over, it is in past. There was, it is in past. Entire context goes into the past. He has been true to his ideological calling. He has been what? He has been a student, he has been a professor, he has been true, he has been intelligent, he has been sincere. This is in present perfect. But what is important here, the word been, it is the past participle of the helping verb or the primary auxiliary to be. Past participle of the primary auxiliary to be, been. It has been used as the main verb. He has completed the work. He has posted the letter. Completed, posted, easy to make out because they are regular main or action verbs. But here, the helping verb has been used as the main verb. So the past participle of to be is been. This is important. Usually this takes, after that you see an adjective or a noun. He has been intelligent, adjective. He has been a student. He has been a professor, a noun. Remember, he has been true to what? To his ideological calling, to his ideology, to his doctrine, to his creed, to his philosophy, to his belief, whatever it is. An important pattern. Rides on the mobilization of people. Politics. The subject here, politics. Politics usually, we use a plural verb. But here, this is a bit different. based on his politics rides on. It has been considered singular. So the sentence is in present tense, not ride. His politics rides on. It is considered singular. Important that way. The pandemic brought to the fore at once. Bring, brought. People get confused between two words. Buy, bought. Bring, brought. Remember, easy to remember. Buy, you don't see the letter R. Buy, bought. Bring, you see the letter R. Bring, brought. There's no need to get confused. Brought to the fore, brought to the limelight, brought to the front. Important expression. Was suddenly vulnerable. He is vulnerable. He was vulnerable. That's an important word. And this is in past. Have prompted a renewed global discussion. Have prompted. They have prompted. This is again in present perfect. It is to be welcomed. This is an important pattern. What is the actual expression? Whenever you come across an expression in passive voice, try to ask yourself, what is it in active voice? We are to welcome. We are to welcome it. It is to be welcomed by us. Not easy to make out, but always give it a try. We are to welcome it. It is to be welcomed by us. That is a pattern. Now, what are the questions, comprehension point of view? What is this editorial about? What does Modi's statement foretell? The future, what does it talk about? And how did India open itself to the global market in 1991? Wherever you see the keywords, tell yourself, easy to answer, go to the editorial, navigate, look for those keywords, you find the answer over there. What does Modi's politics ride on? This is what I was talking about. Politics generally, politics are not, whatever we say politics are. We don't say politics is, usually, usage point of view. But here it has been used singular. What does not do? What does Modi's politics ride on? Modi's politics rides on. The sentence used in the editorial. What is the new syntax proposed by Modi? All important, easy to answer. Do answer these questions. That habit will help you in the long run, especially when it comes to the descriptive paper. When you have to write an essay or a letter, this habit, initially writing single sentences, later paragraphs, later essays, it's a systematic approach that will help you in the long run. Now it is time for you guys to respond. Have a look at the words. First you write the part of speech. After that you write the meaning. What is this channel? I see someone says we have created a channel. Please go to the first word. What is it? Undermined. Don't consider the form of the word. One part of speech, it is undermine. It is a verb. It is a regular verb. Undermine, undermined, undermined. What is the meaning of that? A lot of students have responded. Answer, C. C is the answer. That's right. This is over. Go to the second word. Second word also spawn. Spawn, spawned, spawned. Undermine also means to make something less effective. To make something less effective. That means what? In a way, to weaken someone or something. Second one is also a regular verb. It is a verb. What is the meaning of that? In this context, first one is not basic part of speech you write. Then you could use the second. You could write verb, adjective, adjective also. Undermined statement, undermined project, undermined policy. Yes. Grows suddenly. That's right. F is the answer. F is the answer. Clamor. Clamor, usually it is used as, I want you guys to respond. To lay eggs in large quantity. That's right, Aman. Usually it goes with fish, frogs, all these. Spawning time. They don't fish, they don't go fishing during the spawning period or breeding period. Fishing is banned that time. Usage point of view, first you have to write this noun. It is a noun. What is that clamor outside? What is the meaning of that? Confused noise. This, I'm going to show the word map. Some important words are there, very useful words. That I'll show later. Already have got the word alienate, alienated. Part of speech, it is a regular verb, alienated. What is the meaning of that? Now I see students are responding for the fourth one. It is a verb. Already have written. I have written the part of speech. Clamored, clamored protest. As a verb, if you take clamor, it's a regular verb. Then the adjective form is the past participle of that particular verb. Fourth one, it is a verb, alienation, a noun form, alienate, verb. What is the meaning of that? Isolated. G is the answer. Yes. Go to the fifth one, a rumbling, a rumble. A rumble, a verb. A rumbled, it's a regular verb. A rumbling, it could be an adjective, it could be a noun. Good morning, who is this? 8:36. Please go to the fifth one. In the context, based on the context, rumbling of globalization. It is a noun. What is the meaning of that? Low continuous noise, deep resonant sound, so many meanings. This meaning does not go with the context. Still, I wanted you guys to learn, so I have brought that meaning. In this context, a rumbling, deep resonant sound, one meaning, low continuous noise, another meaning, and rumbling of globalization means the march of globalization, the progress of globalization, loud progress of globalization. Repudiate, that is a verb. Repudiation is a noun form. It is a verb. And what is the meaning of that? Oh, you have gone to the seventh one. Refuse to accept. What is it? Refuse to accept. A is the answer. Go to the seventh one, syntax. Syntax, it goes with linguistics, language, languages, syntax related to sentence patterns. It is a noun. In this context, it has a different connotation. No, syntax is a noun, not an adjective. Murmuring is not correct. Clamor, murmur, both are different. Clamor is loud, noisy, and murmur, low voice, not audible. Usually we say it goes with everyday English. Don't murmur, don't whisper. Whisper, murmur, low voice, but clamor on the other side. They are not one and the same. What is the seventh one? Noun. Answer D, systematic statement of rules. D is the answer. There is no sentence that ends with because is a conjunction. Why not? It is right. This, a lot of people ask, sir, how to use because 3 times in the same sentence. That's not a big deal. I like because is a conjunction. You can make 1001 sentences with the same pattern. I like the word because is a conjunction. There's so many patterns, you can make so many sentences. What is the 8th one? Part of speech, succor, relief, help. It is a noun. What is the meaning of that? Help or relief? Answer is J. Go to the 9th one. 9th one, you got to be careful with the pronunciation. Facade. Facade could be a French word. It has 2 different meanings. One, the front part of a building, and here in this context, false appearance. Part of speech, noun, answer H. What is the last one? What are you left with? professes, profess means, profess is a verb. Answer is B, claims. Some new words, some important words. I hope, has anyone got all the 10 correct? Parts of speech as well as meanings. That is highly appreciable. Today I could not bring 5 sentences, only 4 sentences related to spot the errors, but 2 of them may trouble you. Try to get all the 4 correct. That is a challenge. Who is this Snehita? The only certainty in this uncertainty is next pandemic will certainly come. Interesting. Please go to the next slide. 9 is also pretty good, highly appreciable. Today the words are not easy. Some words are rather difficult, challenging. First sentence, a few students have answered. Let others also. Yes. Here, there is a verb. What is that? Discuss. The verb discuss does not take the preposition about. It's a common error. Discuss about is not correct. Discuss, usually we ask the question, what are you doing? People say, we are discussing about politics. We are discussing about movies. Not correct. We are discussing politics. We are discussing religion. We are discussing movies. Don't use. Like this, another verb. If you take the word order. Order for, it is not correct. He has ordered for coffee. That is not correct. He has ordered coffee. Another, stress. Stress upon. He has stressed upon 2 things. He has stressed on 2 things. Don't use upon. He has stressed 2 things. Again, another common error. Inform to. We have informed to the students. Not correct. We have informed the students. We have informed the students. So remember these verbs, they don't take prepositions. Comprised of, yes, that is also not correct. Consist of is correct. Comprise of, already have got. Very good. I don't know who that student, I appreciate. Comprise of, not correct. Now go to the next one. Experts say that they will need counseling to help them cope with the tragedy. Please work on the second sentence. Experts, then we don't say says. Experts say, that is absolutely right. Despite of is also not correct. But that is not a verb. Despite is a preposition. Here all these are verbs. Discuss, order, stress, inform, comprise. All these are verbs. I haven't seen the answer yet. Oh, thank you very much, Aman. This is actually slippery, the stylus and the Wacom slate, very difficult to write. We use Wacom slate and stylus, very difficult to write, always slippery. No one has given the answer, the correct answer. The answer is, please respect the 5th option. What is the answer? No error. No one has thought of that, very surprising. What is the reason? Please listen very carefully. This goes with a reported speech. Statement. Reported speech, usually we talk about 3 dimensions. Statements, questions, commands and requests. And the statements, what is the first rule? If the reporting verb is in present tense, present perfect, or future tense, the tenses don't change to a corresponding past tense. The tenses don't change to a corresponding past tense. What is the reporting verb here? Say. Experts say that it is in present tense. When the reporting verb is in present tense, I repeat, when the reporting verb is in present tense, the tenses don't change to a corresponding past tense. Present tense, present perfect, future. Tenses don't change. So do remember, answer is, please respect the fifth option, no error. And remember, reporting verb. Reporting verb is in present tense, 1, present perfect tense, 2, and future tense. Tenses don't change. Tenses don't change to a corresponding past tense. Nothing wrong with that, otherwise no problem. Cope with, absolutely no problem. Please go to sentence number 3. I said, though 4 sentences, 2 are not easy, I have already said, try to get all the 4 correct. But the second one already gone. Go to the third one is a bit confusing. It is easy to lose yourself in drugs than it is to cope with life. I don't know what exactly. Buried, nothing wrong with the word buried. This is absolutely right. His body was buried at the 𝐒𝐃𝐈𝐀 cemetery, where it could not be laid to rest due to objections from local residents. Yes, I see a few students have got it right. Where is the error? The third part. Here it is not lain. We have to use the word laid. This is an important one. What is the reason? There are 2 verbs which are always confusing. Under pressure, more confusing. The first one, if you take the word lie, lie is a noun. Again, if you take lie, it is a verb. It could be a regular verb, then easy to handle. But lie, it could be an irregular verb. Lie, lay, lain. It has 2 different meanings. One is to be in the horizontal position while relaxing, another to be in a particular state for a long time. But we have another verb. What is it? Lay, laid, laid. This goes with this one. Lay means to put something down. Lay the stone, lay the foundation stone, lay the body down, lay something down. Rules and regulations, roads, all these things. Here, his body, it could not be laid to rest. That is the right word. Yes. Go to the next one. Please go to sentence number 4. Where is the error? This is also a little difficult. I thought you would respond that way. There's nothing wrong with the word youths. Youth could be a countable noun. It could be a collective noun. When you consider youth a countable noun, youth singular, young person, youths plural, young persons. Nothing wrong with the word youths. That is not the error. That's why I said today, though I have brought 4 sentences, it is quite challenging and not easy. It is an uphill task to get all the 4 correct. Oh, Manasa has got it right. First one to get it right. What is the answer? I will not reveal. Let others also respond. Answer is the 5th option. No error. Absolutely no problem. Communal amity, friendship to the fore, as came to the fore, it's understood. Communal amity to the fore means to the front, as 10 Muslim youths reach out. It is a headline, it is in present tense. Reach out to the poor family in Tumkuru. No error. Now the $1 million question. Who has got all the 4 correct? That is a $1 million question. Though 4 sentences, I said it's an uphill task, quite difficult, not easy to get all the 4. I'm rather curious and eager to know who has got all the 4 correct. Okay. Please go to, yes, youths, it is correct, Qasim Babu. That's what I've said. Youth is considered a collective noun. It is considered a countable noun. accountable. When you consider youth accountable noun, it means a young person. Young person singular, young persons plural. So 10 youths, absolutely no problem. Meaning communal harmony. Communal harmony has come to the forefront, has come into existence. That also means there was communal harmony between Hindus and Muslims. That's what it means. Thank you very much. Who is this? The Hat. I haven't seen that movie, Harry Potter. I don't know how I sound. I hope it is positive. Is it a comment or a compliment? Bouquet or brickbat? Who is this black hole? Please answer. It resembles something. Is it a bouquet or is it a brickbat? A compliment or a comment? Have a look at this para-jumble. You should get all. You have to spend. I'm giving you guys a few minutes. Oh, thank you very much. Then it's good. Otherwise, also no problem. We should learn how to take bouquets as well as brickbats. Only then we come up in life. Please go to the para-jumble. Most of the time, humans like maintaining the status quo. Means no change. We want the same situation to prevail all the time. That cannot be possible. Hold that one. Nor cannot be the past sentence. And the majority of us don't change the default. The majority of us. What is the first one? Yes, a lot of students have got. Answer. Starting new habits is tough and requires overcoming inertia. Already have got the word inertia. Means tendency not to do something. Starting new habits is tough and requires overcoming inertia. One is F, that is absolutely right. What is the next one? A is the next one. Why? Why starting new habits is tough? The writer has to substantiate. Listen to my analysis very carefully. This talks about an idea. What is the idea? Starting new habits is tough and requires overcoming inertia. To substantiate this statement, the writer says, most of the time, why is it a tough thing to start new habits? Most of the time, humans like, a general statement, humans like maintaining the status quo, means maintaining the same situation. Answer is, second one is A. What is the third one? Third sentence, some students say C. The tendency to stick with defaults happens across different aspects of lives. I don't think so. Third one is D. That's right. What is D? The majority of us don't change the default settings. He wants to give an example. Example, here statement, substantiating, and example. The majority of us don't change the default settings when we buy a new mobile phone. Don't change. Don't, then you have to think of nor. What is nor? What is the second one based on that? Nor, we do change the default settings of any new app we download. This is the fourth one. B is the fourth one. Now, these two sentences talk about these two one idea, DB one idea. DB talk about what? The tendency not to change the defaults. Tendency not to change the defaults. The tendency to stick with defaults. Already has given the examples. Don't change the default. Don't change of new apps also. Here, the tendency, that is a tendency. The tendency to stick with defaults happens across different aspects of our lives, from personal to social to office work. This is like concluding sentence. What is the fourth one? C is the fifth one. C is the fifth one. And what is the last one? But this pandemic has jolted us out of our inertia. This is the last one. E is the last one. And this is. Has anyone got the correct order? FA1 idea. Oh, that's wonderful. Who is this? Shamala. That's very good. Now let us go to closed test. Easy today, not that difficult, but today you have to use, yesterday you used your grammar knowledge, today try to use grammar knowledge plus combinations knowledge, collocations. That's very good. That's wonderful. A lot of students are happy. They've got the para-jumble. They've got it right. That's really good. It's a healthy para-jumble. Okay? Have a look at this closed test. I have just said, try to use your grammar knowledge. Try to use combinations, collocations knowledge. Following the never waste a crisis. Never waste a crisis. Perhaps it's a saying. It's a proverb. What is a word for other word? What is a synonym of a proverb? You don't see the word proverb here, but you have to use a synonym. Very good. Answer, adage. Adage, write the meaning. Adage means proverb, a popular saying. A popular saying, a proverb, adage. They all mean the same. Following the adage, what is the adage? Never waste a crisis. Even crisis you have to use. That's a wonderful expression. Usually crisis, we get disturbed and we feel depressed and distressed. But this one says, don't waste a crisis. That is being very optimistic under crisis. Following the adage, never waste a crisis, the government of Uttar Pradesh last week introduced an ordinance that has, here collocation, ordinance. What is the word related to ordinance? Ordinance that has, here you have to use two things, grammar knowledge that has, but also collocation. Ordinance, what is the right word? Scrapped. That has scrapped. Answer is the fifth word. Very good. Most labor laws for 3 years. What is the third one? For creating jobs and for attracting factories. Third one is a bit difficult. Not exiting, no. You should get the third one right. That is a challenge. Exactly. That's right, Vijay Bhaskar. Scrap. Scrap could be a noun. Sell the scrap. Here it is the fourth one, ostensibly. What is the right word here? For 3 years, how ostensibly for creating jobs and for attracting factories. Ostensibly is an adverb. It means something appears to be good, but it is not good. Something appears to be nice, but not nice. You can also think of the word apparently. Apparently. Ostensibly means apparently or obviously. For attracting factories, now everyone is focusing on factories that are going to leave China. Based on that, what is the answer? Exiting China. Factories leaving China. Factories coming out of China. Factories exiting China. These laws with the occupational safety. This is rather easy. Apparently, seemingly, that's right, Shivakumar. Those are the right words. These laws, easy because of the preposition. Again, combination, collocation, prepositional combination. These laws you cannot say disputes. These laws deal with, what is the answer? These laws deal with the occupational safety, health and working conditions of workers, a regulation of hours of work, wages and settlement of industrial settlement, again combination based. Settlement, when you talk about settlement, whenever there is a dispute, settle the dispute, settle the problem, sort out the problem. Again combination, dispute, settle, dispute, collocation. What is the answer? Industrial disputes. Disputes. Has anyone got all the 6 correct? This is based on 2 dimensions. One is grammar knowledge, the other one is combination or collocations, based on collocations. Industrial disputes. Again, if you take ordinance, scrapped, all are related. Adage, never waste a crisis. Try to use different combinations, you can get all the 6 correct. Now, this is an important word map. Clamor, an important word. This is easy. Pandemonium, very important. Uproar. Quite often you come across these words. Pandemonium, Parliament, Lok Sabha. That's wonderful. I see a lot of students have got all the 6 correct. Uproar, an important word. Babel, not that important. Tumult, an important word. Bedlam, an important word. Do remember, clamor, easy to remember, but pandemonium, an important word. Uproar, an important word. Tumult, and again, very important. And bedlam, an important word. Now it is time for you guys to consolidate what you have learned already. Rise voice need not be. It is like noisy commotion. You can use words commotion, uproar, chaotic situation, noisy protest, all these words. This is now time to consolidate. It's already 9:01. Let us spend 5 or 6 minutes and quickly consolidate. Falling behind, fall for, fell through, fall back, falling apart. Be fooled by, be tricked by. What is the answer? Quick. A is 2, that's right. I will not give you a lot of time because you have already learned these. Don't fall for email scams which promise to make you a lot of money. Be fooled by, be tricked by. Others are ahead. What is the answer for the second one? B1, that's right. Some Asian countries are falling behind China and they need to develop their economies faster to keep up. Others are ahead. Fall behind. You are behind others. Break into pieces. Break into pieces. Break into pieces. Third one, what is it? 5, that's right. My old shoes are falling apart. Fall apart means to break into pieces. So I will have to get some new ones. Come to nothing or fail. What is the answer for D? C5 is over, go to D. D3. Our plans for a holiday in Greece fell through when Bob lost his job. Absolutely right. It is come to nothing or fail. Fall through, fell through. Usually it goes with plans. Our plans fell through means they did not materialize. They failed. And what is the last one? Have recourse to when in difficulty. Luckily, Jenny had teaching to fall back on after her business failed. Answer is the fourth one. Now the $1 million question, who has got all the 5 correct? Now idioms, again you have to work very fast. Any port in a storm. This is an important one. They have given in SBI many a time. All the 5 correct, you should be happy. That means you remember what you have learnt already. You have consolidated your knowledge. Any port in a storm, an important one. Quick, I will not give you a lot of time because you have already learnt all these. Any port in a storm, what is the meaning of that? Idiomatic expression. A5. In adverse circumstances, one welcomes any source of relief. Absolutely right. One student also responds, I will go with that. B4, fifth wheel. Anything superfluous or unnecessary. That is also right. Very good. Flight of fancy. What is C? Flight of fancy. No one has responded. C3. An imaginative but entirely unrealistic idea. That is also right. Flight of fancy. He always takes flight of fancy, but that means he's not practical. Itchy feet. Easy to make out. He has itchy feet, she has itchy feet. What is the meaning of that? It is feeling of a need to travel. Some people want to travel all the time. If a person travels around the world, we call that person globe-trotter. Globe-trotter. Jump on the bandwagon. That's an important one. What is the meaning? What are you left with? To profit from a craze. People make money on a particular thing and you join that particular activity, we use this one. This is an important one. So is the first one. Do remember, any port in a storm, important, and also jump on the bandwagon, important. Now let us go to the last one, quite challenging. That's good. If you travel a lot, you can learn a lot. The more, the better. You have to respond quickly. The last exercise, it's already 9:05. I know people are hard pressed for time. When it is 9, the number comes down. About 25 students leave. 1H, inevitable. Inevitable, G, inevitable means what? Unavoidable. Inevitable, adjective, unavoidable. Moribund, that's an important word. Moribund means what? At the point of death. D is the answer. Avert. Avert, what is the answer? Prevent. Avert something. Prevent something. Avert the mishap. Prevent or avoid. And what is litmus test? The other day you got acid test and today litmus test. Third is over. Please go to the fourth one. Quick. Fourth, a decisively indicative test. Litmus test or acid test. And what is the fifth one? Protocols. Someone says J. That's right. Established procedures. You have to follow the protocols. That's right. And rigorous, an important word. Rigorous, part of speech, adjective. Rigorous training. What is the meaning of that? Severe. I is the answer. Adhere to rules and regulations. A typical expression means what? Stick. Answer is B. Adhere. Part of speech verb. Stick to the rules and regulations. And what is the ninth one? Distressing. Distress means what? In a distress. Distressed people. Upset, suffering, or upset. Here, upset. Answer is C. And what is the ninth one? Arbitrary. We have got many a time. Okay, I will do it tomorrow. Not event planners. Today we ran out of time. It's already 9:07. I will do it tomorrow. Definitely. And do remember and try to remind me. Arbitrary, we have got many a time. Arbitrary decision, arbitrary behavior means what? Unrestrained and autocratic, based on whims and fancies. E is the answer. And meager, meager amount, what is the meaning of that? Here you're left with inadequate. Now, the $1,000,000 question, has anyone got all the 10 correct? I'll be very happy to know that. If you answer that question, after that, I'll wind up the session. Fortunately, no issues today, no buffering and no time lapse. Everything has gone smoothly. And I know, I'm happy to see, I'm not able to see the messages. They're coming like bullets, exact expression. Oh, someone has got all the 10 correct. Who is this? Venki. That's wonderful. And also, Jyotirmayi. A lot of students, I can't read out all the names, but I would like to appreciate, not easy. It is an uphill task, and if you get all the 10 correct, that's wonderful. Well, I'll wind up the session on this positive note. I appreciate all those guys. Have a nice day. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow with another editorial to enrich your language proficiency.